Okay, so yeah, I'm here to tell you about my third DMT experience. I would say it's more comparable to my first trip than my second. I don't know if you've seen my previous videos, but if you have, then that's something to compare to, I guess. But um, at the same time, it wasn't even anything like that. Um, so I guess I'll just sort of walk you through it again. I'm not going to get into the set and setting too much. It actually wasn't the same facilitator as the previous sessions. Um, it was a different method that was used as well. It was like a bong instead of whatever this copper thing is that we used, this glass pipe thing. So this second time, this third time, it was just one big deep breath in and holding it, and I laid back and was blindfolded, I think. Laid back and started to see something very similar to my first DMT experience, which was what I described before as like shifting cards. Like it's like a deck of cards and then it's just sort of fanning out. But instead of cards, it's actually a brick wall. So there's brick walls. I see a brick wall with windows on it, and it's nighttime. It's like a dark brick wall too, and then it just sort of tips to the side, and then it reveals that there's another brick wall underneath it. But in between the brick walls is a little cluster of like furry creatures in the middle, and they're kind of clumped together, and there's like little furry clumps of red surrounded in like other colors like purple and yellow. They seem to have like a lot of eyes, and I try to see them a little closer, and everything's all kind of shifting still, so trying to perceive and understand what it is that I'm looking at. And I remember thinking something like, oh, I've never seen that before. And then there was a curiosity that I felt, so I tried to just to see what that was, or to understand it more. And the creatures seem to have this like childlike nature to them, where my approach was, oh, it's that, and their approach was, hee, it doesn't matter, and they just like kind of continued fanning with the wall, so the wall closes on them. And it just reveals another layer underneath that, which is another wall. And the bricks seem to be getting lighter in color. And between each layer of wall and like windowed walls are these like weird feathery or fluffy characters with multiple eyes. And they're all different. They're always a different color. They have kind of a darkness to them, but not scary. It's just, it's kind of like little gremlins or something. But they have like a really playful energy to them, and that goes for a bit. And then I guess I asked my friend later why my friend started to talk to me, because I guess what was happening was I was moving my hand like this, like I was trying to feel the environment, and so he thought maybe I was coming back, so he started to talk to me. But his talking to me actually brought me back to the physical realm. I took my blindfold off, and I came like upright and was like completely inside of the trip, but with my eyes open, and could see everything. Like I could see the layer of this reality. I could see how everything looked, and it was all normal. But over top of it was this like filter that kind of revealed that there was like it was like I was straddling two realities simultaneously. I was in DMT space, and I was in a third dimension, and I was talking to how I'm trying to perceive this, he's talking to me, and I'm telling him I'm feeling kind of like I have to come out of it soon, but I don't know what it is, and I feel a little actually concerned about my state of my physical body. Trying to perceive objects, just like simple objects on the table, and everything. Like, for example, this would look like any simple objects. My mind couldn't comprehend the complexity of regular objects. It had to show me in slices. So this would be like several slices, and it would be like blocked, like kind of like a low resolution video game. But yet they're not stuck on each other, kind of floating. Like they're kind of like the layers are sort of floating and fitting together and showing me that they fit together, kind of. The remote control on his table, television, and like some other objects, and I kind of understood what they were, but I didn't totally understand. I knew that those shapes were familiar, but I couldn't really piece it together. And so I guess my conscious mind was concerned for my physical body and was saying, no, there's something wrong with me, actually. And so I started to say to him, I'm not able to see properly. And he said, oh yeah, the DMT, it can last, it can have a bit of a glowing effect afterwards. And I said, no, like, I'm like in another reality right now. Like, I'm in another reality. And at this point it's been like 20 minutes, so it's not typical that it lasts for this long. And actually my trip ended up lasting about half an hour. Yeah, I spent like 20 minutes of it inside this interactive like space. And my friend was like, he didn't understand how very much inside the trip I still was. And so I was capable of having a really clear conversation with him about my experience. But my visual perception was skewed, but nothing else seemed to be messed up. It was just my visual sense at this point. So I'm saying to him, no, listen, I'm having some visual distortion, and it's not fitting back into how it usually looks. I can see the layer of reality that you exist inside of right now. But there's also an alternate layer that's over top of it, that's like a transparent, iridescent filter, and all of the outlines of everything is like slightly glowing and illuminated. And I started to sort of describe to him what is on him. So he has like a forehead. There's like some sort of protective metal guard that goes over his forehead and over his jaw like this. And the immediate like Akashic record access that I had was that it was like a Roman emperor of some kind, or a Roman warrior, and there were 3 red rectangles in the center of his forehead. So he's sitting on the couch in front of me, and there are these strings that are coming out of the rectangles. And so the hallucination is so consistent. It's not like if I move my head, it moves. It's completely aligned with, like, it's completely consistent with everything I'm looking at. I can look around and it all looks like consistent, just the way this reality does. So I see these strings coming out of his forehead, and I turn back to see where they're connected to, and they're connected to like different points in the room. So there's like one center string that's connected to like the corner of the room, and then there's another center string that's connected to like, I don't know, like the corner of the fridge or whatever, and then another string connected to like a farther point. And so it's almost like these rectangles are constantly acknowledging the spatial differences and like in relation to him or something. So I found that kind of wild. I was talking to him, but I was just like what are like all the, there's this like the kind of like transparent grid over everything that's kind of measuring everything. It's like I felt like I was in a video game, and I started telling him that, like, I feel like I'm in a video game. And he says, you're in DMT space. And I'm like, this is the DMT space? And he's like, yeah, we're both there. We're there all the time. It's always happening. And I was like, at that point, I just got really excited, because I was like, it is always happening. Like, we are always in this realm. It's just we forgot. And he's like, yeah, totally. Like, that's exactly what's happening. And so this was crazy wild, because I'm completely lucid in my ability to communicate with him. Yet everything I look at is just like insanely beautiful, but inside of the visual aspect of it, there is just this sense of being home, sense of being of remembering something that was long forgotten, just feeling reconnected again, feeling relieved, like, oh, like I'm not crazy, like I'm just straddling two layers of reality. It's fucking cool. So yeah, that's what was going on, and that continued for a while, and he continued to sort of engage with me like I was completely normal, and I don't think he understood just like how filtered and strange everything was, and I don't even remember the point at which things gradually transitioned back into like normal reality, but yeah, eventually kind of just sort of faded off, I guess, and then yeah, the remote control didn't look like a clunky you know, first generation Mario interpretation of it. It was just it was just that everything was just normal again, and but yeah, it felt really beautiful to be reconnected to that again, and I wish that I could remember in more detail the visual part of it, because it was so beautiful. The first thing I wanted to do was make a drawing or kind of describe like in like through drawing what it looks like, but it's really difficult. It was such a simple scene. He's sitting on the couch. Everything was kind of glowing edges. I can't really draw that. It's hard to describe with, I mean, such limited skills in that way. But yeah, that's it. That's what happened. I didn't like blast off into like the outer space. I didn't leave my body. I did initially, I guess, for a little bit, and then I came back. But when I came back, it wasn't like a negative experience. The fact that I was kind of discussing and negotiating the terms of existence or whatever, and trying to describe and understand sort of how it is that I'm existing here and there at the same time, is fascinating. And it's just nice to know that I do exist on that level, and I'm actually really curious to know what I look like. I would like to see myself in the mirror on DMT sometime. I think that would be really fascinating. So yeah. Yeah, it doesn't have to be an experience that involves just completely dissolving your ego, or your dissolving in your connection to your physical body. It could be an interactive space. Like my second trip was interactive, and actually this third trip allowed me to sort of be a little easier with how I received my second trip, because the fact that I was interactive and able to manipulate that world, it's very much, that's just how the DMT space works. You actually can manipulate it if you want to. You can manipulate it. You can, if you remember that you can manipulate it. So that's really fascinating. There's so many different ways you can exist there. So yeah, that's all. That's it. I just thought maybe you guys would be interested in hearing about the third trip, and it's only been like a few days since it's happened. Interestingly, the integration has been like pretty hilarious, cosmically hilarious. The day after, I had a tooth pain. I had a scheduled dentist appointment, and it resulted in like the most insane tooth pain after that actually the dentist was concerned that I may need a root canal. There's still a question that I might need that, because apparently the filling was really deep to the nerve or whatever, and so there's all this talk in the physical realm about ripping out a nerve and like a tooth inside my head dying, and I feel myself attached to this little tooth that's all like, oh no, like what do I do? Do I stay connected to this dead tooth? And all these little dramas and stories that like are so easily, you know, they just pull me into the whole facade of this reality. And then there's this almost like this DMT teacher that's just kind of like hanging out with me still. That's just kind of like, yeah, it's really compelling, isn't it? This whole reality. It's like, it really wants you to believe that this is all that there is. You know, and then the next day I like hurt my finger quite significantly. Oddly, it's my middle finger, but like I I messed it up with my bike, and so now I need to like splint it, and like, I don't know, just a lot of really intense, painful experiences, physical pain. You know, it's like beckoning me to be here in this body and be present and be like, as though it's like, hey, forget about that DMT thing, that straddling two realities thing. Forget that. You're here. You're here. You're here. It's like forcing me to be here. And you know, while I'm laying in the dentist chair and this guy's drilling a hole in my head, I'm laughing. I'm actually laughing. I'm like, this is hilarious. Like, this is what I'm doing the day after my DMT experience, you know? Like, I'm allowing some man to like drill a hole in my head. Like, it's a cosmic joke. it's so yeah, things are funny right now. They're funny in that way. Like all the little silly dramas that are so easily you know, alluring and pulling me in, just trying to wrap me up inside of the story of it all, and I'm seeing through it all and trying to just be easy with it and with myself, and trying to just to laugh about it, and finding laughing is a much easier response than you know, triggering the stress sort of response. So that's been pretty cool. Just a natural adaptation to these kinds of things. It just happened. It's just continuing to be my response to these kinds of things. So again, I feel quite changed by that experience. It's not the gratitude thing, although that, by the way, from my first trip is still profoundly present. Yeah, my fibers are changed, and it's a really cool way to kind of hack your body, your chemistry, your psyche, and your perception of the world. You know, so I feel like this is something I'm maybe going to be delving into for a little while, and I don't know when that's going to stop, but I'm very curious about it and about where it will take me. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think this is my last report, and so for those of you who are interested in hearing about it, I mean, stay tuned. I guess I can't say when the next one's gonna be. I definitely think it's gonna be another month or two, maybe, but yeah, I'm gonna keep talking about weird things like dream stuff and float tank stuff. So if any of that stuff is interesting to you, then yeah, keep watching. And you know, thanks to those who are subscribing, and if you haven't subscribed, you feel free to do so. And yeah, I really appreciate your time and attention, and I will see you guys all again soon. I know I also said that my next video was going to be about my experience in the float tank and about dealing with chronic pain in that environment. So I'm not putting that on the back burner. That is something that I intend to look at, but I kind of want to put that one a little more together, and the DMT thing just came right through me. So it went first, but I haven't forgotten that. So if that's something you're looking forward to hearing about, then I'll be sharing that soon as well. So I hope you all have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye bye.